Broadcasting live from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, this is TVC News. Our top stories. East African Petroleum Conference and Exhibition ends, reinforces East African Community Vision 2050.
We have to ensure that we realize the East African Community Vision target of having 100% access to energy by 2050.
African Ministers' Council on Water stresses research to unlock groundwater potentials.
Have ensured that AMCAO consolidated its standing as an effective mandated organ of the African Union's efforts to assure water security in Africa.
Good evening, I am Kanki Mwaigomole. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online, and also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and X pages at TBC Online. The President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, calls on the East African countries to ensure every household in the region has access to electricity by 2050, as stated in the East African Community Vision 2050. Speaking at the final day of the 11th East African Petroleum Conference and Exhibition in Dar es Salaam, Dr. Mwinyi further highlighted inadequate funding as a major challenge facing the region's petroleum sector. However, he urges East African Community member states to draw a lesson from the Africa Producers Petroleum Organization in partnership with Africa Export-Import Bank, which have agreed to establish the Africa Energy Bank, which aims to address critical financing need of Africa's oil, gas, and broader energy sectors. Faith Ngaga has been attending the conference and has prepared the following report.
More than 1,400 delegates from East Africa and beyond have gathered in Dar es Salaam for a three-day conference. The Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Energy, Dr. Doto Biteko, says the conference provided a huge opportunity to explore how East Africa can best partner and use the hydrocarbon resources available to improve livelihoods of the people.
During the course of the 3 days, Your Excellency, we had an opportunity to explore how East Africa can best partner and use the hydrocarbon resources which is available to make our livelihood improved. The conference has attracted more than 1,400 delegates from various countries within the Eastern Africa and beyond. And this is yet another testimony of commitment of the East Africa partner state to advance the agenda of reliable energy for the betterment of its people. Your Excellency, this conference has provided a platform to share information on available investment opportunities within our region and the potential which is available that everyone can take an advantage and harness it.
We looked at the issue of regulations and the policies and how we can continue regulating this sector while as we regulate, also releasing and unleashing the potentials for investors within the region and investors outside the region to continue investing in oil and gas.
The President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, says East African countries should work together towards ensuring they realize the East African Community Vision target of having 100% access to energy by 2050. Furthermore, Dr. Mwinyi urges East African countries to implement more cross-border oil and gas projects, such as the East African crude oil pipeline, which is being implemented between Tanzania and Uganda.
We have to ensure that we realize the East African Community Vision target of having 100% access to energy by 2050. It is important for the oil and gas sector to realize that the world is moving at a very fast pace in terms of technological innovation. We are witnessing breakthroughs from sophisticated techniques for extraction of petroleum from tight reservoirs to transforming our approach to decarbonizing industries. We have to make sure that we leverage the technological advancements to align the oil and gas sector with the global aspirations of the energy transition.
During the conference, member countries have expressed their willingness to further deepen collaboration in the petroleum sector and revisit crucial aspects such as financing, legal, fiscal, and regulatory frameworks, and they have expressed the need to prioritize local content and corporate social responsibility. Faida Ngaga, TBC News.
The African Ministers' Council on Water urges member states to set up policies that ensure investment in research and assessment of groundwater resources, which is critical due to water scarcity resulting from the impacts of climate change. This is a report prepared by Henry Mabumo, read by Teddy Mparanyanga.
The East African water ministers are here in Dar es Salaam, aiming to adopt the Secretariat's technical report on the vision and policy for the groundwater resources in the East African region. Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Water, Juma Aweso, Deputy Minister Engineer Kundo Matthew says the Council has adopted 6 deliberations proposed by the Secretariat, including members.
The decision have been made today set the stage for considerable work ahead. Therefore, it is our collective responsibility, particularly as a nation in the Eastern African sub-regions, to collaborate with Secretariat to ensure that the resolutions have reached are effectively implemented.
On the other hand, the acting chairman of the council, Engineer Eric Muga, says the institution faces financial challenges which affect implementation plans, calling on member countries to contribute financially so as to facilitate the implementation of projects.
How does Africa rise if basic amenities that are supposed to be enjoyed by our citizens are missing? The task at hand, Honorable Juma, as the new Vice Chair, is enormous.
The Secretary General of the East African Water Council, Dr. Rashid Mbazira, says the Council aims to unite member countries to address the water challenge in the East African region.
By mobilizing the region to approach the challenges faced as a bloc and inspiring other regions to follow the same approach, you have ensured that AMCAO consolidated its standing as an effective mandated organ of the African Union's efforts to assure water security in Africa.
The vision of the African Ministers' Council on Water is from a policy perspective and political leadership in the use and management of water resources for sustainable socio-economic development and the improvement of Africa.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Vice President's Office, Abdallah Hassan Mitawi, says climate change significantly impacts biodiversity in Tanzania by causing shifts in weather patterns and disruptions in the ecosystems. He made the remarks during the launch of the Biodiversity Finance Initiative in Tanzania, which aims to raise funds to protect biodiversity.
All investors to biodiversity conservation as part of our agenda when investing in this nation. It is sincere hope that through Biofin, we will be exploring financing solutions like green bonding, payment for ecosystem services, biodiversity offsets, and corporate social responsibility contributions that can leverage private capital for conservation.
On the other hand, the program analyst of the United Nations Development Program, Felista Ignatus, praises the Tanzanians' mainland commitment towards supporting biodiversity initiative, while Hassan Muhammad Hassan, who is the Biofin coordinator in Zanzibar, shares the driving factors which lead Zanzibar to be successful on biodiversity initiatives.
I'm very supportive, but even by then, the commitment was there. The issue we had limitation in funds. That's why we decided to pilot it in Zanzibar, and then we have scaling it up now. So we have full support of government to our initiative.
We we were able to manage the so-called the biofuel methodology, which actually include the revision of the policy and institutional review, the biodiversity expenditure review, which actually look at on the amount of fund that has been allocated to support the conservation of biodiversity, and the financial need assessment, which actually indicates the amount of fund that needed to support the sustainable management of biodiversity.
The TIC Executive Director, Gilead Terry, says under President Samia Suluhu Hassan's leadership, investment levels in Tanzania have tripled, whereby in 2024 alone, 901 new projects have been registered and valued at $9.3 billion, resulting in a 5.3% growth in investment. Caroline Maleo has more details.
From economic diplomacy to strategic reforms, Tanzania has become one of Africa's top destinations for investment. Since President Samia Suluhu Hassan took office in 2021, the country has seen an overflow of both foreign and local investors. Policies have been revised, barriers have been removed, and opportunities unlocked, making Tanzania a hub of economic potential. Here, Gilead Terry provides an overview of Tanzania's investments during President Samia Suluhu Hassan's leadership.
One of the things that she was quite clear about her vision for our country was the role of private sector and the part that the private sector can play, not only in economic growth, but also in helping Tanzanians transform their own lives, but also provide the full scope of opportunity and talents for Tanzanians. So years that went after that have been nothing short of remarkable. So the first thing that she did, she also revamped and overhauled some of the laws and the regulations that really stifled the growth of private sector and individual talents in Tanzania. One of it was the Investment Act, which had not been reformed since 1997, and she did it within a year. By December 2022, Tanzania had a new investment code. But we also changed Public-Private Partnership Act, which also allowed collaboration between public institutions and the private sector, but also other laws that includes arbitration and others, which have made Tanzania one of the most favorable and conducive investment climate on the continent.
He further expresses the impact of these investments to the Tanzanians.
So for the year 2024, January to December, the Tanzania investment sector recorded 901 new investment projects worth $9.3 billion. This is up from 5.3 the year before, and it's up from 3.3 the year before. So within 3 years, she tripled the level of investment that has come through Tanzania. But it's not only the level of investment that has gone up, the amount of jobs that have been created in her 4 years, over 500,000 jobs, 520 to be precise, have been created because of these investment projects that have come into the country. The most promising figure that we have seen is the increase in the number of Tanzanians that own projects and collaborate with foreigners. So,
on the other hand, Terry expresses what has been done during President Samia's leadership to increase investments in Tanzania.
For one, what has happened is Her Excellency. This has been a unique, I would say, a special opportunity for our country to have her kind of leadership, very graceful, very solid, very thoughtful, but also very pro-private sector. So when you have a leader that understands business, and when she's in a room speaking to CEO, you'll feel like it's one CEO speaking to another. And that gives a lot of comfort to foreign investors, but also Tanzanian investors, which is important to mention. So her personality, her leadership inspires a lot of confidence and stability within the markets, within the government, and that's a big, big factor. But then there's investment that has really happened for the last 4 years in roads, in power. We know the Julius Nyerere hydropower project, in infrastructure, urban roads, rural roads that open up those markets, but also infrastructure like port modernization with the ascent of the DP world. Yeah, so we are quite ambitious, riding on the wave that Her Excellency is making. We started here with a target of $5 billion worth of investment in 2023. We hit that. Last year, our target was $10 billion worth of investment. We finished at $9.3 billion. This year, we want $15 billion worth of investment. So we're still going for that.
Tanzania is a country renowned for its stability, peace, and highly conducive investment environment. Through the Tanzania's government's commitment to economic diplomacy, the country continues to open its doors to international and local investors, offering vast opportunities across various sectors. Key industries such as tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, trade, and mining present significant potential for growth and development. Additionally, the country is making remarkable strides in infrastructural development, further enhancing its appeal as a strategic investment destination. By fostering strong economic partnerships and creating a business-friendly environment, Tanzania is paving the way for sustainable economic growth, benefiting both local and international stakeholders. Caroline Maleo, TBC News.
In honor of the International Women's Day, we spotlight Mamas of Zanzibar, a group of women empowering themselves through Swahili language and cooking classes by offering authentic cultural experiences that not only preserving tradition, but also make the tourism industry flourish and create sustainable livelihood. Teddy Mparanyanga has more details.
Nina usingizi nataka kulala.
One of the strategies of the Zanzibar Development Vision 2050 on tourism is to build an integrated, inclusive and sustainable tourism sector for a reliable economic industry. Meet the Mamas of Zanzibar, a collective group of women who have found strength in their traditions and their community. By offering Swahili cultural lessons and cooking classes, they are sharing the authentic cultural experiences of Zanzibar while empowering themselves and creating new opportunities.
After I moved here is when I found out about my neighbors, and I thought it would be a good idea to start a culinary experiences for all the visitors in Zanzibar. At that time, I was a single mom of 3, and I was unemployed and had no, I was going through a bit of a new thing. So I got to know my neighbors. After I got to know my neighbors, I realized that as women, we have similar issues that we're going through. And so I went to one of them and I gave them the idea that I was thinking of doing a culinary experiences that will welcome our guests to understand more about the Zanzibari culture. So after I approached this one of the mamas, she said, okay, let me tell the other neighbors and we'll get back to you. The next day, I had a bunch of mamas at my door, about 10 of them, and they were very interested in starting this experience.
Through culinary classes, the mamas are creating more than just educational opportunities. They are weaving a deeper connection between tourists and the culture of Zanzibar. Visitors come to understand not only the food, but also the language, the history, and the heart of the island. International Women's Day is a reminder of the power women hold in shaping societies. And the Mamas of Zanzibar embody this every day. Through their work, they are not just preserving traditions, they are creating sustainable livelihoods for themselves, their families, and their community.
Happy Women's Day!
Teddy Mparanyanga, TBC News.
Thank you so much, Teddy Mparanyanga, with that reportage. It is indeed an honor of the International Women's Day. Meanwhile, gender equality in science is crucial for building a better future for all, yet women and girls continue to face systematic barriers and bias in pursuing scientific careers heading into the International Women's Day. TBC News featured an exclusive interview with Professor Venadina Masanja, a mathematics professor at the Kampala University in Dar es Salaam. Here are more details.
We want to see exactly where should we go. Exactly where should we focus at. The fifth regime, our late Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, he was my student. I taught him mathematics at University of Dar es Salaam. And Vice President, our current president now, they decided to have a secondary school, exclusive high school, exclusive for girls in every region for science, STEM subjects. That one will take us a big milestone in terms of bridging the gap in the STEM subject, because in STEM subjects, the gap is still there and is still wide. There's so much that has been discovered that we are using today that was discovered by women innovators. Much as they were few, but what they innovated up to now is dominating what is happening and what we are using in this world. Therefore, we should try to use those pioneers. Quite a good number of them, we have them here in Tanzania. We portray them. We make sure that a woman is not denied his or her chance. We come to non-intellectuals. Women should not be shy of technology. Their technology now, particularly machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, analytics, it is what is leading us. We are removing, the normal manual way, whatever is going away. The digital world is coming in. Now, if you are a farmer and you don't want to use the Internet of Things, as a woman, as a farmer, you'll be left aside. They should not be shy of the new gadget.
In related news, as International Women's Day approaches, we highlight the impactful work of the Union of Tanzania Women UWT in advancing gender equality across the nation. In an exclusive interview with Mrs. Leah Lupembe, the former Executive Secretary of UWT, she reflects on the organization's pivotal role in empowering women and shares her appreciation for the leadership of President Samia Suluhu Hassan in championing women's participation in leadership.
My dear, speaking of UWT, how it was involved in development of the women, I have to say that it has done a lot to develop the women affairs in Tanzania. UWT was formed in 1962. You can imagine by then how women they were. We were so backward, we were so low, we were low profile, we were obedient to our fathers, to our husbands. Well, we were inferior to every man. So it was pathetic. But after UWT was formed, women came aware of themselves. And the years went on. We came to this century when women are, so many are so educated. I'm so proud that in so many sectors, I don't know which one, where there is no woman.
We are now approaching International Women's Day on Saturday. So what message would you like to give to women all over the world?
I would just say that women should unite forever. They should unite, but also have meetings, not only to celebrating, clapping hands, so on, eating well, and so on for one day. No, this date of 8th should be a big day for education to other women, to the women themselves. Nobody can say, I know everything. You don't know something. So this should be celebrated by all the women. We should unite all of us. And also remember those women who are in trouble, who are fighting. Up to this century, I hate to hear that there are some countries that are still fighting. Why? They are not peaceful. You don't have to say that we are peaceful in Africa. When in Congo there, you see women with their luggages and their heads moving around. They don't have where to sleep. They don't have this and that. They don't have food to eat. It's painful. So I would say we unite and we should discuss problems of the women. We should have these congresses, meetings to discuss the problem of the women and children.
The Embassy of Japan in Tanzania says Japan remains committed in promoting Tanzania's cultural and academic advancement, which are integral to the country's development. Speaking to DPC News, the new ambassador of Japan to Tanzania, Mikami Yoichi, and senior representative of Japan's flagship development agency, Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, insist that Tanzania and Japan can explore further areas to deepen ties.
I very much like the word Hatwa or STEP and the concept of the Hatwa project. We have presentation for the 5 Hatwa programs today, and candid and constructive discussions are also expected today. I'm very excited to learn from you. Please let me express again my gratitude to all of you for having me today.
As a primary alumni organization, JAT creates a platform where knowledge, experiences, and opportunities coverage are making it the cornerstone of our partnership. So I encourage you to use this annual general meeting to renew our friendship, exchange experiences, and strengthen the JAT communities that has become so vital to our corporations.
We argue all beneficiaries to be good ambassadors for all programs facilitated by JICA Tanzania and encourage others to utilize such opportunities for the betterment of individuals, groups, and national as a whole.
Before we conclude the news bulletin for tonight, let's take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Dear viewer, once again, this is 24 hours weather forecast from Tanzania Meteorological Authority as presented to you by Godfrey Kazenja. The reduction of highest maximum temperature expected over the most part of our country, while the highest maximum temperature expected to be 33 degrees Celsius over Mwanza together with Kilimanjaro region. Average wind speed expected over the most part of our country, while the distribution of rainfall signal are increasing over most part of our country. For tonight, we expect future particular conditions, thunderstorm over Furia, over Kagera, Mwanza, Geita, Kigoma together with Katavi, while Njombe, southern part of Morogoro region, Ruvuma together with southern coast, expect future particular condition, light rain shower over Furias.